Welcome to Rise and Grind Radio 3.0.
You are now about to witness
With your host, Scotty the Body.
Come down later for good
7 of truth bombs, hard facts, and real life grit. It's time to wake up. Let's grind.
Welcome back to another episode of Rise and Grind Radio 3.0, the station where we strip it down to the fucking nitty gritty and talk about all the things that keep us awake at night, or the things that we've ignored for far too long. Today's conversation is about energy. Not calories or caffeine, but the energy that you give to people. The kind that you don't get back on a formal receipt. You know, the kind that you only notice that's missing when you're completely drained and you're wondering why. This isn't about keeping score. It's not about expecting gifts or praise or any accolades or applause. It's about paying attention, because at the end of the day, if you're pouring into people who have never fucking poured into you, it's only a matter of time before you've got nothing left to pour for yourself. Now, most of us were raised to give without expecting anything in return. And that's beautiful. Right? We should live like that, with wholesomeness and steadfast, desire to be better and all that goodness. The world needs more of that. The selflessness, right? But the problem comes when you keep giving and giving and giving, and the people that you think that would give, well, they never give back. Relationships, man, whether they're friendships, family, or love, they work best when they're not one-sided. It's about equal amounts every day. Someone's strong, well, the other one's having a weak moment. And that's fucking okay. That's what community's for. But over time, there should be flow. There should be exchange. Because if you're the only one carrying the weight, there's something wrong, brother or sister or confused person who's having an identity crisis. Picture this shit, right? Let me put it to you this way. You're standing in your yard, watering your lawn, your grass, you're making it grow, you put your feet on it, and you glance across the fence, and there's your fat neighbor sitting with his big old belly button sticking out of his shirt, saying, "Hey, I don't got a hose, can you throw some water on mine too? Maybe some feed?" And of course you're all like, "Yeah, you know what? He's a good guy. We've had beers before. Sure. Why not? First time you don't mind, but the second time, you got that little wince in your eye, like, how many times is this guy gonna fucking ask me before he buys his own hose or his own feed?" So you shrug it off. Years later, their lawn looks like paradise, and yours looks like patchy dog shit because you're so fucking frustrated with helping everyone else out and you get nothing in return. Because the whole time you've been taking care of theirs, well, no one was taking care of yours. And that's where you have to stop and ask yourself, why am I putting in the work for people who won't put in the smallest bit of effort for me? And that's the question that we all need to ask ourselves, folks. When do you sever the ties of dead weight? Right? I think at its inception, so it doesn't fucking turn into a cancerous virus and then take over your entire life. Now, let me make this clear, right? Abundantly clear. It's not about turning relationships into transactions at all. It's not about handing out IOUs after you did some cool shit and asking people to, let's settle the bill. It's about reciprocity, healthy flow, knowing that you don't have to beg for someone's effort, and knowing that when you need them, they'll be there. I'll be there. Yeah. I'll stick to the podcast and not sing it. Not because you asked them to be there, but because they noticed. There's a quiet kind of peace. It's beautiful. And being surrounded by people who just fucking get it, man. People who see it when your cup's low and they're like, yeah, whatever. I got you. Without hesitation. That's not greed. That's balance. You know what? There's an old saying, pass the buck. You know, if you're one of those fuckers that just collects the buck, so you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Pass the fucking buck means pass the buck for a reason. If you got, then pass it on, dog. You know what I mean? If you ignore this, you keep pouring without checking, you'll end up with nothing left. And here's the cruel part, folks. When you finally break down, the ones you've poured into, most of the time, they probably won't even notice. Because they got so used to you being the strong one, the giver, or, the fixer. And that's how burnout happens. That's how bitterness creeps in. And you lose everything. Not because you hate giving, but you hate giving without a return. It's a slow kick in the balls. Any kick in the balls sucks. But a slow kick in the balls is just like, fuck, dude, why am I doing this to myself? So here's the takeaway today for Rise and Grind Radio. Don't stop pouring. Don't harden yourself to the world, but be mindful to who and where your energy goes. Make sure you do your fence check. Ask yourself, am I being poured into, or am I just being drained? Just kidding. Seriously, is my energy being drained? Because the truth is, you can't keep building everyone else's house when yours is just sitting there with the fucking basement still drying. You know what I mean? It's not about selfishness. It's not about selfishness. It's about survival. And more than that, it's about dignity. Surround yourself with people who actually notice when you're running low. People who will pour into your cup without even being asked. Because at the end of the day, life is too short to spend it empty. Pour in the cup, set pouring back into yours, baby. This is Rise and Grind Radio 3.0. I'm Scotty the Body. Peace out, motherfucker.